Hello and welcome back to our channel. You are just with me today. Kelby's sitting on the couch doing nothing. And after our video last week, I'm so excited to be talking about dehydrating your own backpacking meals at home. We started dehydrating our own meals only a couple years ago, but it has been such a huge game changer for backpacking. It's far cheaper and you can actually control the flavors in your meals, which is my favorite part. Plus, Kelby and I definitely eat different amounts of calories when we're on the trail, so I can portion them out to be exactly what each of us needs, rather than just relying on like the 400 to 500 calories in a mountain house or backpacker's pantry meal. Now, I will say I was very intimidated to start doing this, but it's not nearly as hard as you would think. We have the Hamilton Beach Dehydrator, which is actually one of the cheapest dehydrators you can get. You don't need to get one of the $400, $500 dehydrators. This one is $69. I'll have it linked below and it's worked great. So this dehydrator comes with 6 trays and I can typically make anywhere from 4 to 5 meals for each of us. And I will say we do eat quite a bit. So you might be able to make more if you have a little bit less of an appetite. So today we're going to do a very simple taco recipe. You could either eat it as a taco bowl just straight from the bag, or if you bring tortillas, you can pour the mixture into tortillas and just have a really satisfying meal. Tortillas add some extra bit of calories, and honestly, everything is better wrapped in a tortilla. And then I will be giving you some tips throughout the video of things that you're gonna wanna remember, or little notes that I have had to learn along the way, so hopefully you don't have to do much trial and error. Now, I have all of my ingredients here, and something that I have learned is that there are 2 ways that you can dehydrate meals. You can either dehydrate everything separately and then add them all together in the bag, or you can do what I'm gonna do in this video and make the whole mixture and add all of the trays are gonna have the same stuff because it's everything mixed together. I just personally think that that's easier that way. It just feels like I'm cooking a meal at home and then I just dehydrate it, which is very easy. So I will leave everything in the caption for the recipe so that you can follow and grocery shop, and let's get into it. What I especially love is that for this recipe, I did not have to go grocery shopping. All of this stuff I just had laying around the house. So for ingredients, I am going to start with ground turkey. And one of the most important things to remember is that you want to avoid fats and oils as much as possible when you're dehydrating. And so turkey is a lot leaner than beef and will typically rehydrate better and it will store better. So I typically go for ground turkey or chicken in a can for proteins. Those are going to rehydrate very well. They're going to store better. Rice is a great filler, and I actually made this for dinner a few nights ago. Next, I have some veggies. So I'm gonna do an onion, and then I have a whole bunch of little baby bell peppers. And honestly, the beauty of these is you can add whatever you want. You can add whatever kinds of beans you like. If you like certain salsas, you can dehydrate salsa or hot sauce. So for this recipe, I'm gonna do a can of black beans, a can of diced and fire roasted tomatoes with green chilies, and a can of corn. And then garlic, and then I'll have some seasonings down below. I honestly don't know which ones I'm gonna use yet, but we will get there. The beauty of this is that you really can just start cooking as normal. The only thing that I try and avoid is putting oil in the pan if I can. If I have to, I'll just use a little bit, but typically the turkey should be fine. We will see. I'm gonna start by just chopping all of the veggies. One thing to keep in mind is that you're going to be dehydrating and rehydrating these, so keeping the veggies as small as possible and trying to make them all the same size is going to be really helpful for quicker dehydrating and easier rehydrating. Something to think about for planning, this is probably going to take anywhere from 8 to 12 hours. So if I usually wake up and I get this going immediately, then it'll be done by the time I'm going to sleep. But today, it's about noon right now. So I'm actually probably going to not finish this until tomorrow morning. I'll just let it go over the night, and that's not a big deal at all. And just like the vegetables, you want the turkey to also be in small pieces. So you're gonna try and chop it up as much as possible. So now I'm gonna go in with my seasonings. Today I'm gonna do salt, pepper, cayenne, onion powder, and paprika. And the beauty of this is that you can really add whatever you'd like. So if you prefer more spice or you don't like spice, you can tailor it to fit your needs. then just keep remembering to cut up the turkey pieces as small as possible. It's gonna make them way easier to dehydrate, and then they won't be as chewy when they rehydrate. They're actually gonna taste like you cooked it at home. And everything else is already cooked, so I basically just need to warm it up and get it all mixed in with the flavors. We've actually had days where we'll make a dehydrated meal and eat half of it for dinner and then dehydrate the rest, which is also another great option. You just don't get as much. I will say I'm making a ton of food right now, so we will see if it will all fit in there. If not, I'll either save it for us to eat here or just save it in the fridge and then dehydrate it the next day. And with all of these ingredients, I'm just constantly adding spices. Now that the turkey's cooked, I hope, always make sure to taste it so you can make sure you're gonna love it out there too. So good. It's spicy. Okay, I think I'm just gonna add a little more salt and then call it good. This is done. We are ready to put it in the dehydrator. One thing that I've learned to really help the mess, these trays, they have a lot of holes in them, so the rice, honestly, all of this would just fall right through. So you can buy on Amazon little plastic covers to put on here. I just don't have those yet. So instead, I just use sheets of parchment paper and then cut out the hole here for where the heat is gonna come through. Now we're gonna start loading all of the food onto the dehydrator in different trays. Just try and make sure to spread it out as thin as possible so that it dehydrates evenly. I barely have any food left in the pan, so I was able to fit almost everything in there, which I'm always so impressed by how much this holds, and that's gonna make quite a few dinners. So now it's time to dehydrate. I'm going to set this to 160 degrees, and we're gonna start at 8 hours and then see where we go from there. I have a feeling it's gonna take a little bit longer than that, and then I will be coming back every 2 to 3 hours to give it a little stir. I'll show you. And that is one of my favorite parts, honestly. Now it's going, all I have to do is stir it. It's pretty much exactly like cooking a regular meal at home and then adding in a little bit of extra work, but it's really not that difficult. It has been a little over 2 hours since I put this on, and now I'm just gonna stir it. So you're gonna see that closer to the center, the food's gonna be a little bit drier, and on the outside, it's gonna be a little bit more wet. So you kind of want to do a full flip of that. And then it's also important to pay attention to like the lower trays versus the upper trays. I think usually the upper trays dry a little bit faster. So if you want to, you can also rotate them in their order. And I'm just going to do this every few hours. There's no set time. I'll probably come back in another 3 to 4 hours and check on it. And it's just giving me an idea of how much longer I think it's going to take and getting it all to dry at the same time. So I'm just breaking up all of these pieces. So it looks like these two middle trays are actually drying the most right now. So I'm gonna take this off and move those to the bottom, and then I'll move the bottom ones up and let it sit. Just got back from the gym. It's about 4 or 5 hours later. This is still going, and it's definitely looking a lot different now. So I'm just gonna stir that around one more time, get all of the softer pieces closer to the center. And it currently has 3 hours left, and I have about 3 hours until I go to sleep tonight. So I'll check it one more time and then judge how much more time I'll do overnight once I'm about to go to bed. And I will see you in the morning. Good morning. It is now the next day. I am getting ready to go skiing, and this is all complete. So now we're just gonna bag these up. Now there are a few ways to do this. So you could use stasher bags. If you're going on a trip soon, I would probably use these. These are gonna reduce plastic use. You can actually cook, like you can pour boiling water in here. It's just a little bit better for the environment. However, I will say that these take up a ton of space in a bear canister, and most of the places that we go, we do use a bear canister. So I typically opt for the quart size freezer Ziploc bag. Now there are also a lot of ways that you could do this, and you could do this in a much more precise way than I do it. Some people will weigh out the food to make sure they're getting a certain amount of calories and counting that. I personally just eyeball it because I take how much food I made and look at like, okay, that should divide into maybe 6 meals for Kelby and I, so I'm just gonna divide this by eye and just make it super simple. I did just realize I didn't explain how to know when this is done. So it's pretty evident once you do it for the first time when the food is done. You're gonna pick it up and there's not gonna be any wet spots left. Like it just crumbles apart, everything is dry, even if I pick up a bigger chunk. And it looks a lot different than it did before, but you can hear it. It's definitely dry. So I'm gonna pour it all into this bowl and then I can divide it out from there. So based on how much food I put into this, I'm estimating this is gonna make about 5 meals. So I am just going to distribute them evenly through these 5 freezer Ziploc bags. However, sometimes I will make like a Kelby and a Zoe one. So split it up half and half for 2 meals, but then put a little more in Kelby's and a little less in mine. Yum. I'm gonna start by doing about 1.5 cups of each and then go from there. That was almost perfect. Let's talk about storage. There, I feel like there's so much I could cover in this video, so if you want another one, if you have any questions, leave them down below and we will get to them, maybe answer them in some more recipe videos if you like this kind of thing. But for right now, I'm just gonna take all of the air out of these, and I would trust these for probably 3 to 4 months just as they are. You can make them last longer. Honestly, if you have the freezer room, put them in the freezer. They're gonna be a lot safer to keep in the freezer for a long period of time. I'd probably keep them in there for about a year. And then I know a lot of people also vacuum seal them. We don't have a vacuum sealer, so I don't do that. I typically just make meals pretty soon before we're going to use them. So here are the 5 meals. Perfect timing. Kelby just got back. Let's taste one. I will link the jet boil that we use down below, but all you need for this is some hot water. So to pack this to go backpacking, I just bring the meal, some hot sauce. We love Taco Bell hot sauce. It just makes everything better. And tortillas. These are raw tortillas, but this is just what we have at home. Obviously, I would not pack this for backpacking. I just bring either the really small flour tortillas or the medium-sized ones, and a couple per person per meal. So there are 2 ways to heat this up. What we would typically do is just use a pot and pour this into our pot and let it rehydrate in there. We do cook in the Ziploc bag sometimes, but not everyone loves that. So instead, I'm just gonna pour this into the stasher bag. Water is boiling. Meal is in here, and now I'm just gonna add water. The trick is you can always add more water, but it's really hard to take it out. So I just start by just barely covering the food and then stirring and going from there. And then you're gonna stir it, let it sit for 5 to 6 minutes, stir it again, and let it sit again. Let's taste it. So then all I would do, obviously not with a plate and probably just more with my hands, fill the tortilla. So this would probably get me like 2 big tacos, 3 medium-sized tacos with this recipe.
Oh, that smells really good.
Add some Taco Bell hot sauce.
Probably expired.
Probably. Yeah, when was the last time I went to Taco Bell?
It's been a while. Can I try it?
Yeah.
Mmm.
Good flavor?
Mm-hmm. I could just eat that for dinner.
Really? Is this our dinner tonight?
Maybe. It's delicious.
Look, you can even eat it at home.
Mmm. Mmm.
It is really good. Especially good for being at home. If you liked this style of video, please let us know. I'd love to make more, and I'm planning on dehydrating a lot of food for this upcoming spring and summer season. If you have a second to leave a comment and a like, we would so appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.